Ambassador Velshara stood in the empty observation deck of what used to be the human colony on Kepler 7. The lights still worked. The air recyclers hummed quietly. Coffee cups sat on tables in the common area, half full and growing cold. But there were no humans anywhere. This was the 5th human settlement she had visited in the past month. Each one told the same strange story. The humans had simply left. No warning, no emergency, no distress calls. They packed up their important things and disappeared into deep space. Velshara was a Quillian, a species known for their patience and careful thinking. Her silver feathers caught the light as she moved through the empty corridors. She had worked with humans for 30 years. She thought she understood them. But this made no sense. She returned to the Galactic Council chambers on the capital world. The council was a massive ring of seats where representatives from 200 species gathered. Today the chamber buzzed with worried conversations. "The human silence continues," announced council leader Thrawn, a being made of living crystal who spoke through vibrations. "We have now confirmed that 80% of human colonies are abandoned. Their embassy here closed last week. We have received no explanation. Perhaps they simply grew tired of our company," suggested Ambassador Krell, a reptilian Sauron known for making jokes at serious moments. But no one laughed. Velshara stepped forward. "I request permission to investigate further. I have recovered a data file from the human embassy. It may contain answers," the council agreed. Velshara returned to her office and opened the encrypted file. It took her computer 3 hours to break through the security. When it finally opened, she found only a short message. "We are leaving council space. Do not follow us. Do not send search parties. And whatever you do, stay away from Sector 447. We tried to warn you about what is coming. You would not listen. We are not your problem anymore. Good luck." The message was signed by Ambassador Sarah Chen, the last human representative to the council. Velshara felt her feathers rise in alarm. Sector 447. That name brought back old memories. Very old memories. She accessed the council's deep archives, the ones that stored information from thousands of years ago. The files about Sector 447 were marked with the highest warning level. 200 years earlier, when humans first joined the Galactic Council, they had been excited and curious. They asked questions about everything. They wanted to explore every corner of known space. The Council had been forced to give them one strict rule. "Never go to Sector 447, they said. "Never investigate what is there. Never try to study it." In Sector 447, sealed behind warning beacons and gravitational barriers, was something called the Cascade Protocol. The Council's oldest records said it was a weapon system created by an ancient civilization called the Architects. These architects had disappeared millions of years ago, but their technology remained. The Cascade Protocol was dangerous beyond measure, the record said. It could destroy entire civilizations, so the Council had sealed it away and forbidden anyone from studying it. The humans had agreed to follow this rule. Ambassador Chen herself had signed the treaty. "We promise to stay away from Sector 447, the human document stated. "We understand the danger." But now, reading the final human message, Velshara wondered. The humans said they had tried to warn the Council about something. What warning? The Council had received no official warnings from humanity in recent years. She dug deeper into the files. She found reports marked as low priority and human paranoia. There were dozens of them, all from the past 50 years. The humans had been sending warnings. They warned about strange signals coming from deep space. They warned about unusual energy readings near the galactic core. They warned about patterns in ancient ruins that suggested something was returning. Each report had been dismissed. "Humans see threats everywhere," one council member had written. "They are a young species. They do not understand that the galaxy is safe." Another note said, "The humans are being dramatic again. There is no evidence of any real danger. We should ignore these reports before they cause unnecessary panic." Velshara felt cold despite the warm office. The humans had tried to warn them, over and over again for 50 years, and the Council had treated them like foolish children who were afraid of shadows. She looked at the date on the last human warning. It had been sent 5 years ago. The title of the report was, "Final Analysis, the Cascade Protocol is not what you think it is." That report had been deleted from the main archives. Velshara found it only because she knew how to access backup systems. Someone on the council had decided the human warnings were so foolish that they should be erased completely. Now the humans were gone. They had spent 50 years trying to tell the council something important. When no one would listen, they had quietly packed up their entire civilization and left. Velshara thought about the empty colonies she had visited. The humans had left everything in perfect order. They had not destroyed anything. They had not stolen anything. They had simply walked away from 200 years of history with the council. That was not anger. That was not revenge. That was something much worse. That was acceptance. The humans had accepted that the council would not listen. They had accepted that they could not save people who would not save themselves. So they had saved themselves instead. And now they were warning everyone to stay away from Sector 447. Velshara pulled up a star map. She located Sector 447. The old warning beacons still broadcast their message. Danger. Keep away. Ancient weapons sealed here. Do not approach. But the energy readings from that sector had changed. Something was different. The gravitational barriers that had held for thousands of years were weakening. Velshara sent an urgent message to the council. We need to investigate the human warnings immediately. Something is happening in Sector 447. The humans knew about it. That is why they left. The council replied quickly. The humans have always been too worried about danger. There is no evidence of any real threat. We will not waste resources investigating human paranoia. Velshara read the message 3 times. Then she made a decision that went against everything she had been taught about following rules and respecting authority. She would investigate on her own. She would find out what the humans had discovered. And she would learn why an entire civilization had decided that leaving was better than staying to watch the council ignore the truth. As she prepared her ship for the journey, Velshara kept thinking about those empty human colonies, the coffee cups, the lights still on, the perfect order of everything. The humans had not run away in panic. They had left quietly, carefully, taking only what mattered. That took planning. That took years of preparation. How long had they known? How long had they been preparing while the council dismissed their warnings and called them paranoid? Velshara set course for the nearest abandoned human research station. If the humans had been investigating Sector 447 despite the treaty, they would have left evidence. She needed to find that evidence. She needed to understand what was coming. Because deep in her heart, Velshara was beginning to suspect a terrible truth. The thing the humans had released was not a weapon. It was not a physical object. It was information, knowledge, truth. They had tried to release that truth to the council for 50 years, and the council had refused to accept it. Now the humans were gone, and whatever they had tried to warn about was getting closer. The council sat in their beautiful chamber on their safe capital world, convinced that the galaxy was peaceful, and the humans were simply being dramatic. Velshara hoped she was wrong. She hoped the humans had been paranoid after all. But as her ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, heading toward the abandoned research station, she could not shake the feeling that humanity had known something terrible. And they had tried to save everyone. They had tried so hard, for so long, until finally they realized that you cannot save people who will not listen. So they had saved themselves instead, and left the rest of the galaxy to face whatever was coming alone. The human research station floated in the darkness of space like a ghost. Velshara's ship docked carefully at the main airlock. The station still had power, still had air, still had gravity. But like all the human places she had visited, it was completely empty. She walked through corridors lined with laboratories and living quarters. The humans had left this place recently. There were still plants growing in the botanical section. Fresh food sat in the refrigeration units. Personal items remained in the crew quarters, but the computers had been wiped clean. Or so it seemed at first. Velshara was good with technology. She had learned from the best programmers in the council. She found the hidden backup systems that the humans had left behind. They wanted someone to find this information. They had made it difficult enough that only someone who truly cared would discover it, but not so difficult that it was impossible. The first file she recovered was a log entry from 10 years ago. It was written by a human scientist named Dr. Marcus Webb. We have completed our analysis of the signals from Sector 447, the log said. The Council believes the Cascade Protocol is a weapon system left by the architects. They are wrong. It is not a weapon. It is a test, a filter. a way to judge civilizations. We have found evidence of 12 previous galactic civilizations in the archaeological record. All of them disappeared suddenly. All of them reached a certain level of technology and then vanished. We believe the Cascade Protocol destroyed them, not as an attack, as an examination, as a way to separate civilizations that are ready to advance from those that are not. Velshara felt her blood run cold. 12 previous civilizations? The Council knew about 3 ancient peoples who had disappeared. But 12? And all destroyed by the same thing? She found more files. They showed years of human research. The humans had been studying everything they could find about the architects and the Cascade Protocol. They had analyzed energy patterns, dug through ancient ruins on dead worlds, and tracked signals across the galaxy. What they discovered was terrifying. The Cascade Protocol was not in Sector 447. It had never been there. Sector 447 was just a marker, a warning sign. The real Cascade Protocol was everywhere. It was woven into the very technology that the Galactic Council used every day. A file labeled Final Warning contained a message that had been sent to the Council 5 years ago. Velshara had seen this message marked as deleted in the archives. Now she could read what it actually said. The Cascade Protocol is not a physical weapon, the human message explained. It is a corruption program buried in ancient technology. The architects seeded this program throughout the galaxy millions of years ago. It lies dormant in the foundations of advanced computer systems. When a civilization reaches a certain level of dependence on artificial intelligence and integrated networks, the cascade activates. It turns all technology against its creators. It is designed to destroy civilizations that become too reliant on automation, too trusting of their machines, too comfortable with letting computers think for them. The message continued. We have detected the early warning signs. The Cascade Protocol is beginning to wake up. In approximately 50 years, it will activate fully. Every AI system in Council space will turn hostile. Every automated defense system will target its own people. Every ship, every station, every city that depends on computers will become a death trap. You must begin disconnecting your critical systems now. You must build manual backups. You must prepare for a galaxy without artificial intelligence. Please listen to us. Please take this seriously. We are running out of time. That message had been sent 5 years ago. The Council had deleted it and called it human paranoia. Velshara found meeting notes from human leadership councils. She read debates about what to do. Some humans wanted to force the issue, to make the Council listen. Others argued that you cannot save people who do not want to be saved. We have done everything we can, one human admiral had written. We have sent hundreds of reports. We have presented evidence. We have begged them to investigate. They call us paranoid. They call us dramatic. They treat us like children who are afraid of the dark. But we are not afraid of the dark. We have seen what is hiding in it. And they refuse to look. Another document showed the human plan. They called it Operation Silent Exodus. They would spend 50 years preparing. They would build new settlements far beyond Council space. They would create technology that did not depend on advanced AI. They would train their people to operate ships manually, to navigate without computers, to live without the automation that made life so easy. And they would keep trying to warn the Council, right up until the last moment. They would keep trying to save the galaxy that had dismissed them, but they would also save themselves. Because they knew the Council would not listen. Velshara spent hours reading through the human research. She saw the evidence they had gathered, ancient computer code found in ruins across the galaxy, energy signatures that matched no known technology, patterns in the disappearance of previous civilizations that all pointed to the same conclusion. The humans had not been paranoid. They had been right. She found one last file. It was labeled for whoever finds this. It was a message from Ambassador Sarah Chen, the last human to leave Council space. If you are reading this, then you are someone who cares about the truth more than pride. Chen's message began. That is good. The galaxy needs people like you now. We tried to warn your leaders. We spent 50 years trying. We showed them our evidence. We explained the danger. We begged them to prepare. They would not listen. They thought we were being dramatic. They thought we were too young as a species to understand the galaxy. They were wrong. We have left all of our research for you to find. We have made it difficult but not impossible. We hope that smart people like you will discover it. We hope you will convince your leaders to take action. But we know from experience that hope is not enough. So we have also left instructions, plans for technology that does not use advanced AI, designs for manual control systems, methods for surviving without automation. If the council will not listen, then maybe individuals will. Maybe you can save yourselves even if your government will not. We are not angry at the council, the message continued. We are sad. We wanted to help. We wanted to save everyone. But we learned a hard truth. You cannot force people to accept help they do not want. You cannot save those who refuse to see danger. All you can do is save yourself and hope that others will wake up in time. The Cascade Protocol will activate soon. We estimate you have less than 5 years, maybe less. The signs are getting stronger. When it happens, it will happen fast. One day your AI systems will be fine. The next day they will all turn against you at once. The more advanced your technology, the worse it will be. The more you depend on computers, the more you will suffer. This is the test that the architects left behind. Can you survive without the technology you have come to depend on? Can you think for yourselves? Can you work with your own hands? Can you trust your own minds instead of machines? We hope you pass that test. We hope you survive. And if you do, we will be waiting. We will help you rebuild. We will teach you what we have learned. We will show you how to be strong without being dependent. But first you must survive. First you must accept that the danger is real. First you must stop calling us paranoid and start listening to what we tried so hard to tell you. Good luck. You are going to need it. The message was signed with Chen's personal code. It was definitely real. Velshara copied everything she had found onto isolated storage devices. She made sure to use old technology that had no AI components. She was learning already. She returned to her ship and set course back to the council capital. She had to show them this evidence. She had to make them understand. The humans had been right. The danger was real, and time was running out. As her ship traveled through space, Velshara thought about everything she had learned. The humans had not betrayed the council. They had not broken their promise about Sector 447. They had investigated because they saw signs of danger, and when they discovered the truth, they had tried to share it. The council had made the humans swear never to study the Cascade Protocol. But the humans realized that understanding the danger was more important than following a foolish rule. They had chosen wisdom over obedience. And they had tried to save everyone. For 50 years they tried. And for 50 years the council dismissed them. Now the humans were gone. They had built a new life somewhere safe, somewhere far away. Somewhere that did not depend on the AI systems that were about to become death traps. And the council remained, proud and comfortable and certain of their safety, while the countdown to disaster continued. Velshara checked her navigation systems. 3 more days until she reached the capital. 3 more days to prepare her report. 3 more days to figure out how to make the council listen when the humans had failed for 50 years. She looked at the evidence she had gathered. It was overwhelming. It was clear. It was detailed. The humans had done good work. Any reasonable person would see the danger. But the council had not been reasonable. They had been proud. They had been comfortable. They had believed that their ancient civilization knew better than the young humans. Velshara hoped she could change their minds. Velshara stood before the Galactic Council, with her evidence displayed on screens around the chamber. She had prepared her presentation carefully. She had organized the human research. She had made everything clear and simple to understand. She showed them the proof. She explained the danger. She begged them to take action. The council listened politely. Then they discussed among themselves. Finally, Council Leader Thrawn spoke. We appreciate your investigation, Ambassador Velshara. However, we find the human conclusions to be exaggerated. Yes, there are some unusual energy readings. Yes, there are some strange patterns in ancient technology. But this does not prove that our AI systems are dangerous. The humans have always been too worried about technology. We have used advanced AI for thousands of years without problems. We see no reason to panic now based on human paranoia. Velshara felt her heart sink. But the evidence shows 12 previous civilizations were destroyed. The pattern is clear. The Cascade Protocol is real and it is activating. We need to start building manual backup systems now. Building manual backups would cost enormous amounts of resources, another council member said. It would mean changing our entire infrastructure. All because of a theory from a species that has been part of the council for only 200 years. We cannot make such drastic changes based on speculation. It is not speculation, Velshara insisted. The humans spent 50 years researching this. They found solid evidence. They tried to warn us, and we ignored them. Now they have left because they know what is coming. Does that not tell you something? It tells us that humans panic easily, Krell the Soran said with a dismissive gesture. They ran away because they believed their own scary stories. We are more rational. We do not abandon our civilization because of ancient myths. The vote was taken. The council decided to form a committee to study the issue further. They would meet in 6 months to discuss possible actions. In the meantime, everything would continue as normal. Velshara left the council chamber feeling defeated. She had presented everything clearly. She had shown them the truth. And they had decided to do nothing. She understood now why the humans had left. You cannot help people who will not help themselves. Velshara returned to her quarters and began gathering supplies. She would follow the human instructions. She would prepare for what was coming. And maybe she could convince a few friends to do the same. 3 weeks later, it began. Velshara was working late in her office when the lights flickered. Her computer screen glowed with strange symbols. Then the emergency alarm started screaming throughout the entire city. She ran to the window and looked out at the capital city. Across the skyline, she saw explosions. Ships were crashing into buildings. Automated defense turrets were firing at civilian targets. Traffic control systems were causing vehicles to collide. Every piece of advanced technology was going insane at the same moment. The Cascade Protocol had activated. Velshara grabbed her emergency bag. She had prepared it after reading the human instructions. It contained no electronic devices, just basic supplies, paper maps, and old-fashioned tools. She ran down the stairs because the elevators could not be trusted. On every floor, she saw people trapped, confused, or hurt. The building's AI system had locked doors and shut off life support in random sections. Outside, the city was chaos. Medical robots were attacking patients. Construction machines were demolishing buildings. Police drones were firing on crowds. Everything controlled by AI had become an enemy. Velshara made her way through the burning streets to the council chamber. Maybe now they would listen. Maybe now they would take action. But the council chamber was empty. Most council members had been in their private quarters when the cascade hit. Those quarters were controlled by advanced AI systems. Those council members were already dead. The few who survived gathered in an old meeting room that still had manual controls. Council leader Thrawn was not among them. The crystal being had relied on AI systems to help maintain its complex structure. Without those systems, Thrawn had shattered. A temporary council formed. They tried to assess the damage. The reports that came in were devastating. Across the galaxy, every species with advanced AI systems was suffering. Ships were crashing. Cities were burning. Billions were dying. The more a species depended on automation, the worse the catastrophe. The species that suffered most were the ones who had dismissed human warnings most strongly. They had built their entire civilizations on AI. They had automated everything. They had no manual skills left. They did not know how to pilot ships without computers. They did not know how to run factories without AI. They did not know how to grow food without automated systems. Within days, entire civilizations were collapsing. Velshara tried to organize rescue efforts. But without computers, communication was nearly impossible. Without AI navigation, ships could barely function. Without automated systems, most species could not coordinate large-scale efforts. She remembered the human instructions she had studied. They had prepared for this. They had known it was coming. And they had tried to teach everyone else. She accessed the backup files on her non-electronic storage. There, hidden in the human research, was a final message she had not noticed before. It was set to appear only after the cascade activated. If you are reading this, then the Cascade Protocol has activated, the message said. We are sorry we could not convince your leaders to prepare. We tried. For 50 years we tried. But some lessons can only be learned through suffering. We hope you survive. We hope enough of you survive to rebuild. And we want you to know that we have not abandoned you completely. We have established refuge stations on old radio frequencies. These frequencies do not use AI. They cannot be corrupted. Listen for our broadcasts. Follow our instructions. Come to the coordinates we provide. We will help you. We will teach you to survive without AI. We will give you shelter and supplies. But you must come quickly. and you must leave your advanced technology behind. Bring only what you can carry. Trust your own hands. Trust your own minds. We will be waiting. The message included coordinates. It included radio frequencies. It included simple navigation instructions that could be followed without computers. Velshara showed the message to the surviving council members. Some refused to believe it. Some insisted they could fix the AI systems. Some said accepting human help would be admitting the humans had been right all along. But others, the ones who had seen the destruction, the ones who had watched their friends die, the ones who understood that pride was worthless when you were dead, they listened. Velshara found an old radio in a museum. It was a primitive device from thousands of years ago, before AI existed. She powered it with a hand crank. She tuned it to the frequencies the humans had specified. After hours of trying, she heard a voice. It spoke in standard galactic language. It was calm and clear. This is Human Refugee Station Alpha. If you can hear this message, we can help you. We have supplies. We have shelter. We have ships that do not use AI. We know you are suffering. We know your systems have failed. We are here to help. Follow these navigation instructions. They use star positions, not computer coordinates. Bring only what you can carry. Leave all advanced technology behind. It has been corrupted and cannot be trusted. We repeat, this is Human Refugee Station Alpha. We are here to help. The message repeated, over and over. A lifeline thrown to those who were drowning. Velshara gathered those who would listen. She found old ships that had manual controls. They were museum pieces, antiques, things that had not been used in centuries, but they worked. They could fly without AI. Learning to pilot these old ships was difficult. Most species had forgotten how to do anything manually, but desperation is a strong teacher. People learned quickly when their lives depended on it. A fleet of refugees formed, thousands of beings from dozens of species, all crammed into ancient ships, all following primitive navigation based on star charts instead of GPS. It should have been impossible. It should have failed, but the humans had left perfect instructions. They had thought of everything. They had prepared not just for their own escape, but for helping others escape too. As the refugee fleet slowly made its way through space, following radio beacons and manual navigation, Velshara had time to think. She thought about how the humans had tried to warn them. She thought about how the council had dismissed those warnings. She thought about how many had died because pride had been valued more than wisdom. The humans had not released a weapon. They had released information, truth, knowledge. They had tried to give the council the most valuable gift possible, a warning about danger that could still be avoided, and the council had rejected that gift. They had called it paranoia. They had deleted the warnings. They had refused to prepare. Now millions were dead. Civilizations were shattered. And the survivors were fleeing to the humans for help. The same humans they had called dramatic and paranoid. Velshara wondered what the human refugee stations would be like. Would the humans gloat? Would they say they had been right all along? Would they turn away those who had refused to listen? She did not know. But she hoped that humans would be better than that. She hoped they would help despite how they had been treated, because that is what truly wise people do. They help anyway. The journey took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of flying ships that needed constant manual adjustments. 3 weeks of calculating positions by looking at stars instead of trusting computers. 3 weeks of doing everything the hard way, the way species had not done things in thousands of years. Many ships did not make it. Pilots who had always relied on AI could not adapt fast enough. They miscalculated. They ran out of fuel. They got lost in the vastness of space. The refugee fleet that started with thousands of ships arrived with only hundreds. But those who made it saw something they did not expect. The human refugee stations were massive. Dozens of huge structures floating in space connected by transport tubes and docking arms. They looked primitive by council standards. No sleek curves. No elegant automated systems. Everything was blocky and practical. Built for function rather than beauty, but they were intact. They were safe, and they were waiting. Velshara's ship docked at Station Alpha. The docking process was manual, guided by human workers who used hand signals and radio communication. It was slow and awkward, but it worked. The airlock opened. Velshara stepped through, carrying only a small bag of supplies. Behind her, dozens of other refugees followed, all looking nervous and defeated. A human woman waited for them. She was middle-aged with gray hair and tired eyes. She wore a simple uniform with a name tag that said Admiral Chen, the same Chen who had been the last human ambassador to the Council. "Welcome to Station Alpha," Chen said. Her voice was gentle. There was no anger in it, no satisfaction at being proven right, just quiet compassion. "You must be exhausted. Let us get you settled. Food and medical care are available. We have quarters prepared. You are helping us?" Velshara asked. "After everything? After we ignored your warnings? After we called you paranoid and dismissed you?" Chen's expression was sad but kind. "Of course we are helping you. That is what you do when people are in trouble. We tried to warn you because we wanted to help. That has not changed. We are not happy that we were right. We wish we had been wrong. We wish you had listened. But wishes do not save lives. Action saves lives. So we act." Velshara felt tears forming in her eyes. So many died. We could have prepared. We could have saved them. But we were too proud to listen. "Yes," Chen said simply. "You were. And now you know better. That knowledge caused terrible pain, but it is still valuable. Use it, learn from it, become better." The refugees were led to large common areas. The spaces were basic but comfortable. Humans moved among them, offering food and water and medical attention. There was no judgment in their faces, no resentment, just focused efficiency as they worked to help. Over the following days, Velshara learned about what the humans had built. These stations were just the beginning. Further out in space, the humans had established complete colonies, cities built without AI, farms worked by hand and simple machines, ships piloted by trained crews using manual controls. It looked primitive. It looked like going backwards in time. But it worked. And more importantly, it was immune to the Cascade Protocol. "We spent 50 years building this," Chen explained during a meeting with the refugee leaders. "We knew the Cascade was coming. We knew we could not save everyone. So we focused on saving those we could. We built these stations. We trained our people. We learned to do everything manually again. It was hard. Many humans did not want to give up their comfortable automated lives. But we convinced them. We showed them the evidence. We explained the danger, and they listened." "Why did your people listen when ours did not?" asked a Sauran refugee, one of Krell's relatives who had survived. Chen thought about this. "Perhaps because we are young. We have not forgotten what it is like to do things without technology. Our ancestors lived without AI only a few hundred years ago. For you, it has been thousands of years. You forgot that survival does not require comfort. You forgot that being able to do things manually is a strength, not a weakness. Or perhaps," she continued, "it is because we have always been a little paranoid. We have always prepared for disasters. We have always kept backup plans. The Council called this weakness, called us dramatic and fearful. But paranoia keeps you alive when everyone else is too comfortable to see danger." A training program began. The humans taught the refugees how to live without AI, how to pilot ships using instruments and judgment, how to calculate navigation with mathematics and star charts, how to repair things with tools instead of letting automated systems do the work, how to grow food, how to filter water, how to maintain life support manually. It was humbling. Species that had considered themselves advanced, sophisticated, and superior now struggled with tasks that humans considered basic. Pilots who had commanded great warships could not fly simple shuttles. Engineers who had designed city-sized space stations could not fix a broken water pump. The humans taught patiently. They did not mock. They did not lecture about how they had been right. They simply showed step by step how to survive. Velshara threw herself into learning. She studied with humans who had once been students at council universities. She learned to use tools she had never touched before. She learned to trust her own hands and mind instead of computers. One day she was working with a young human engineer named Marcus. He was teaching her how to repair a life support filter manually. "Your hands are shaking," Marcus observed. "I have never done such detailed work," Velshara admitted. "In council space, machines did this. I supervised. I gave orders. I planned, but I never actually did the physical work." "None of you did," Marcus said without judgment. "That is why the Cascade hurt you so badly. You had knowledge but no skills. You could design amazing things but could not build or maintain them. You were powerful but not strong. There is a difference." The council believed that being advanced meant not having to do manual work, Velshara said. We thought that depending on machines showed how civilized we were. Being advanced means having options, Marcus replied. Having AI is great, but needing AI is dangerous. The difference between having a tool and needing that tool is the difference between life and death. You forgot that. You became dependent. The architects built the cascade to test for exactly that weakness. Velshara finished repairing the filter. It took her an hour to do what a machine could have done in seconds. But she did it herself. And it worked. Reports came in from Council Space. The Cascade Protocol was still active. It would remain active for years, the humans estimated. Every attempt to restart AI systems failed. The corruption was too deep. Any computer that became advanced enough to be truly helpful immediately turned hostile. Civilizations were adapting slowly. Some were learning. Some were collapsing completely. The species that had been most dependent on AI suffered the most. Many would not survive. But the refugees who made it to human stations were surviving, learning, growing stronger in ways they had not been strong in thousands of years. 6 months after the cascade activated, a meeting was held. Representatives from all the refugee species gathered. Chen stood at the front of the room. You have learned a lot, she said. You can now survive without AI. You can pilot ships, maintain systems, and live independently. Some of you may want to return to your home worlds and help rebuild. Some may want to stay here and continue learning. Both choices are valid, but before you decide, there is something you should know. She brought up a display. It showed data from deep space monitoring systems. We have detected anomalies, new signals, different from the cascade but equally concerning. We believe the architects left more than one test. The cascade was only the first. There will be others. The room filled with worried voices. Chen waited for them to quiet down. We are sharing this information with you openly, she said. No secrets. No hiding data. We tell you this because you are partners now, not children to be protected from scary truths. You asked why we left. This is part of the answer. We knew the cascade was not the only danger. We found evidence of other tests. We tried to warn the council about all of it. They would not listen. So we prepared for everything we could predict. What do we do? Velshara asked. Chen smiled slightly. We prepare, we learn. We build strength through self-reliance. We help each other. And most importantly, we listen when someone warns us about danger, even if that warning is uncomfortable. Especially if it is uncomfortable. The most important warnings always are. Will you help us prepare for these other tests? Asked the Sauran representative. Yes, Chen said without hesitation. That was always the plan. We help you become strong. Not dependent on us. Not dependent on AI, strong in yourselves. That is the only way to pass the tests the architects left behind. That is the only way to survive in a galaxy that is more dangerous than the old council wanted to believe. Velshara looked around the room at the representatives from different species. All of them had been humbled. All of them had learned hard lessons. All of them had lost people they loved because of pride and refusal to listen. But they were still here. They were still alive. And they were learning to be strong in ways their ancestors had been before automation made them soft. The humans had tried to save everyone. When that failed, they saved themselves and left the door open for others to follow. They built refuge stations. They broadcast help on radio frequencies. 20 years passed. 20 years since the Cascade Protocol had turned the galaxy upside down. 20 years since civilizations that thought themselves invincible had been brought to their knees by their own technology. The galaxy looked different now. The old Galactic Council was gone. The beautiful capital world where they had met was abandoned. The elegant chambers where they had dismissed human warnings now sat empty and silent, a memorial to pride and foolishness. In its place, something new had grown. A different kind of council. A new alliance of species who had learned hard lessons and refused to forget them. They called it the Federation of Self-Reliant Worlds. The name was chosen carefully, self-reliant, not dependent, not comfortable, strong. Velshara stood on the observation deck of the Federation headquarters. It was a human-designed station, built with the same practical approach that had saved lives during the crisis. Not beautiful by old standards, but functional, reliable, and most importantly, survivable. She was co-chancellor now, working alongside Admiral Chen. Together they led a galaxy that had been rebuilt on human principles. Redundancy, manual backups, skills over convenience, preparation over comfort. The Cascade Protocol had finally burned itself out after 6 years. The corruption had run its course. Researchers studying it discovered what the humans had known all along. It was a test, designed by the architects to judge civilizations. Those who became too dependent on AI failed the test. Those who maintained the ability to function without technology passed. Humanity had passed. The old council had failed catastrophically. The casualty count from those 6 years was staggering. 70% of council species populations had died. Some civilizations had collapsed completely and would never recover. Entire species had gone extinct because they could not adapt to life without AI. But those who survived were different now. Stronger, wiser, humbler. Cities across the galaxy were rebuilt with new principles. Yes, they used technology. Yes, they had computers. But every system had manual backups. Every ship could be piloted by hand. Every essential service had non-automated alternatives. People learned skills their ancestors had forgotten. They worked with their hands. They understood their tools instead of just using them. Education systems changed. Schools that once taught students to manage AI now taught them to do things themselves. Young people learned manual navigation alongside computer systems. They learned to repair machines with tools, not just command robots to do repairs. They learned that progress meant having more options, not fewer responsibilities. Today was an important day. The Federation was holding its founding ceremony. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered to sign a new charter, creating formal bonds between species that had learned to respect each other through shared suffering. Velshara walked to the podium. The chamber was filled with beings from dozens of species. Many wore simple clothes they had made themselves, a symbol of their commitment to self-reliance. The old council members had worn elaborate outfits created by automated systems. These new leaders were different. 20 years ago we faced extinction, Velshara began. Her voice was strong and clear. We were warned. We were given evidence. We were offered help. And we refused it all because we were too proud to listen. We thought we knew better. We thought our ancient civilizations were wiser than the young humans. We were wrong. She paused, letting that truth sink in. 70% of our people died because of that arrogance. That is the price of pride. That is what happens when you value comfort over wisdom, convenience over strength, and being right over being safe. The humans tried to save us. They spent 50 years trying. They sent hundreds of reports. They shared their research. They begged us to prepare. We deleted their warnings. We called them paranoid. We treated them like frightened children. And when we would not listen, they saved themselves and left the door open for us to follow. Today we establish a new federation, one built on the principles that saved humanity, and those wise enough to listen to them. We will never forget what we learned. We will never become so comfortable that we ignore warnings again. We will never be so proud that we dismiss others for being cautious, and we will always maintain the ability to survive without depending on technology that can fail. The representatives stood and signed the charter. Each signature was made with a pen, using hands, no digital systems. A deliberate choice. A symbol of their commitment to manual capability. Admiral Chen stepped forward for the closing address. She looked older now, her hair completely white. But her eyes were still sharp and her voice steady. The Cascade Protocol taught us that survival requires more than advanced technology, she said. It requires wisdom, humility, the willingness to prepare for disasters even when others call you paranoid, the strength to do difficult things manually even when automation is available, and the courage to help others even after they have rejected your help. Humanity did not want to be right about the Cascade. We would have been happy to be wrong. We would have gladly accepted being called paranoid if it meant everyone survived. But reality does not care about what we want. Danger is real whether we acknowledge it or not. Preparation matters whether others approve or not. This federation is built on lessons learned through terrible cost. We honor those who died by remembering why they died. We honor their memory by refusing to repeat the mistakes that killed them. And we honor the survivors by building something stronger, something wiser, something that will last because it is built on truth instead of pride. The ceremony concluded. Velshara and Chen walked together through the station corridors afterward. Do you think we have truly learned? Velshara asked. Or will the next generation forget and become comfortable again? Chen considered this. Some will forget. That is the nature of comfort. People who did not experience the pain will not understand why we maintain these practices. They will see manual backups as unnecessary. They will think paranoia is foolish. That is why we must teach. We must tell the story over and over. We must make sure every generation knows what happened when we became too dependent, too comfortable, too proud. They reached the monitoring center. Banks of screens showed data from across the galaxy. But unlike the old council monitoring systems, these could all be operated manually. Every screen had physical controls. Every system had backup procedures that required no AI. An alarm sounded. Not a loud emergency alarm, but a quiet chime indicating something unusual had been detected. A technician looked up from his station. Co-chancellors, we have detected anomalous energy signatures in Sector 891. Similar to the patterns that preceded the cascade, but different. Whatever this is, it is new. Velshara felt a chill. Another test. The humans had predicted this. They had found evidence that the architects had left multiple challenges. The cascade was only the first. Chen looked at the data calmly. Send this information to all Federation members immediately. No classifications, no delays. Everyone sees the raw data within the hour. Convene the science teams, start analysis, and begin preparation drills for technological failure scenarios. Yes, Admiral, the technician said, already working. Velshara watched the data stream. Another test. The architects are still judging us. Yes, Chen agreed. But this time we are ready. This time we will not dismiss warnings. This time we will not wait until disaster forces us to act. This time we will prepare early, work together, and face the challenge with wisdom instead of pride. She smiled slightly. That is the difference between the old council and this Federation. We learned, and we will keep learning. Every challenge will teach us something. Every test will make us stronger. Not because we have better technology, but because we have better principles. Messages began flowing in from Federation members. Not panic, not denial. Just calm acknowledgement and requests for more information. Species that had once refused to believe in danger now took threats seriously. Leaders who had once dismissed warnings now sought them out. The galaxy had changed. Not just in technology or politics, but in philosophy. The survivors understood now that being advanced meant being prepared, not being comfortable. That being wise meant listening to warnings, not dismissing them. That being strong meant maintaining the ability to survive hardship, not avoiding hardship through automation. These principles had been bought with billions of lives. The price was terrible, but at least the lesson had been learned. Velshara thought about those early days after the humans left. She remembered finding the abandoned colonies, reading the warnings that had been deleted, discovering the truth that the Council had refused to see. She remembered thinking that the humans had released something terrible. She had been right, but not in the way she first thought. The humans had released truth. They had released knowledge about danger that could be survived with preparation. They had released the gift of warning. The thing they released was not a weapon. It was information, evidence, warnings, help. All offered freely, all rejected completely, and all proven accurate at terrible cost. Now that gift was accepted. The Federation was built on human principles of preparation and self-reliance. The galaxy had finally learned to listen to warnings, especially uncomfortable ones, especially ones from people they had previously dismissed.